Hi guys, something a little different tonight. Welcome to my nighttime mysteries. It's late. My mom, who's visiting, is out there with the TV on full blast. Those of you who have relatives that are hard of hearing know what I mean. And my husband's watching the Oilers game, so I snuck in here with Abby, and I wanted to share with you somebody I mentioned before. I was going to do James Dean and Natalie Wood. Um, Natalie Wood was very interesting. Now, if you don't know what I do here, it's all an experiment. I look into souls and their experiences here on this earth, maybe on the other side, their connections with us, information, some lessons. It's really interesting. Um, so I looked into Natalie Wood, and she was a toughie. And James Dean was easy. And Elizabeth Taylor came in with Natalie Wood. Don't know why, but she was very chatty. So I was going to share those with you. And also politics, the shutdown. Eight senators have caved, and I'm so frustrated. I'm so angry. And I know the Republicans are not going to follow through with their agreement to re-look at the tax subsidies in January. I just know they're not. I'm going to do another video on that because this one I just want to focus on. It's night here and I have a little bit of wine. This is a pretty glass that we bought in the Yukon from a place, Lumel. I don't know if some of you, I know one of my viewers is from Whitehorse or the Yukon, so she knows where this is. Um, they do glass blowing, and she also works with a lot of special needs people, which is awesome for the community. So let me start with my souls here. I forgot to. I'm going to look at JD Vance. I forget who asked me. Looking at JD Vance and Erica Kirk. That one was really interesting. Their relationship and their future and what their plans are. That's going to be on my political video. This is just strictly um, Natalie and James and Elizabeth. And so here we are. So I have my notes because this is how I work. If I'm not pulling cards, I'm meditating. This is Erica Kirk. Okay. So I got into her energy, and I am on the boat. I guess she was always had a fear of dark water. All her life, she was always scared of it, which is interesting. It's quite possible she had a premonition, but it's also possible karmic patterns repeat. So had that embedded subconscious thing. So I asked her to speak to me. I'm going to try and look at you while I read my notes because I hate it when I look at my videos and I don't look at you. I'm looking to the side, and I know it's not fun for you to watch. She says, I have nothing to say to you. I found her angry. I'll get to the angry part. I don't know why. And I realized later why. She hasn't moved on. She says, I have nothing to say to you. My soul is not interested. She says, I feel like she's angry or defensive. She's just not willing to open up. Like certain people are just very open and chatty and easy to moving in and out of. I've mentioned this before, Tupac and who else? Well, even Elizabeth Taylor here, she was very chatty. Some people are just more open, and some people are like, no, done. I don't really need to tell you anything. But most everybody I can get something out of. I did see the first image I got was her clothing like snagged on something. That was the first thing I got, even before I started talking to her. I said, tell me what you are angry about. And it ended angry. It wasn't resolved. And she said Bob, RJ or whatever she called him, was fooling around, Robert Wagner. And then I'm on the deck. This is a little haphazard, so stay with me if you can. I feel like this was really intense, this feeling. I'm on this deck, and there's some sort of chrome or metal, and it's to my left. And I see it flickering. So there's something. So I think this is the water and this is the center of the yacht, where the rooms are. I'm not sure. But I see kind of flashes of chrome, and I don't feel like somebody's lifting me and taking me like to throw me overboard. It feels like I am upright and um I also had this image later where I felt like I was hitting, hitting, hitting like repeatedly. Maybe that was him, whacking her around. It was this back and forth. And I know they had been drinking the night that that she drowned. This was like 1981, 82, 83, somewhere in there, when they never it was been a mystery. They'd never figured out who did it, and he's been a person of interest. Christopher Walken, who she was co-starring with, and Robert Wagner was accusing her of messing around with, and then there was a captain. This third person, who I think was the captain, I don't think it's Christopher Walken, is very important to this situation. He is very big part of this drama or this thing that happened. I don't feel Christopher Walken had anything to do with it. I don't know where he was, but I don't feel like he's part of this. Although he plays a lot of mob guys. But there's something, and I think it's the captain guy. I think he and Robert Wagner were friends or something. There's some sort of relationship there, kind of different. Um, and it ended angry. I'm going back to her, the shiny metal, and I felt this. It was like I don't know how to explain. It's like a dread or a fear or an intensity. It was like an intense. It's like a ramping up of emotion, but not like I'm gonna get so mad and I want to kill somebody. It's more like I'm moving into this space and it feels like the climax of a movie when, somebody's going to come around the corner. It felt like that. It felt like she knew something was going to happen. She knew that this was a really um, uh, scary situation. But when I was in her energy, she had a lot of issues. I felt like she had, and Elizabeth Taylor told me that too. She had a lot of issues with um, drama or adrenaline or a difficult lifestyle, not difficult lifestyle. She was raised with a lot of chaos, maybe. That's what I know. She was in Miracle on 34th Street, which was it's the best version, I think. The black and white one from 19. Anyway, that's the best version. But and Maureen O'Hara. But yeah, I feel like her childhood, because she was a child star, she there had to have been some sort of issue. It wasn't like, oh, mommy, I want to be a movie star. I know there was family pressure. I can feel the pressure. And she's used to that dynamic. And there's some sort of accepting of anger, accepting of volatility that I feel that she lived with, especially with her husband, and just the lifestyle or something. And so she was used to that. Anyway, this night, I think they'd been on the boat a couple days, but I'm not sure. And they were drinking and fighting a lot, apparently. That's all I remember. They're drinking and fighting a lot, and he was jealous of walking. And the theory is, for some people, is that he killed her and threw her overboard. Uh, I feel like he pushed her around, and that could have been the banging, banging, banging. Um, I don't feel he did anything on purpose. Well, let me finish right what I'm doing. I'm getting off track. Shiny metal. She says, I feel like that fear and that dread as I'm seeing the metal should not go into room or talk or say. It feel her walking the timeline of living, like, or fine line of living. She knew she was on like a razor's edge. That was the feeling I got. She knew she was taking chances, whatever she was doing in this moment. Um, but she, like I said, she lived in that chaotic. Maybe she didn't always want to, but it seemed to be her normal, quote unquote, or whatever, or it used to be. And like I said, and then I see Elizabeth Taylor. I don't know why she came in, but she did, and now she's not hesitant at all. And she says, I asked her about Natalie, and she says, like her, she's too intense. She's saying Natalie's too intense. She has deep wounds. She says she gave away her smile too much. And Elizabeth says, I would tell her to not do that. She covered herself with smiles. That's what Elizabeth Taylor said, which is very interesting to me because you could see she looks lovely. You see in her interviews or movies or whatever. She's beautiful. Elizabeth says, I mean, I'm saying that about Natalie. Elizabeth says she was kind and sweet and gentle. The world did it to her. I tried to protect her with advice when I could. She was lovely, not lonely. Maybe it was lonely, lovely or lonely. We visit now like sisters. So they're on the other side ish because, like I said, Natalie is not 100% moved on yet. She is lingering. She is not um, ascended or resolved. She is unresolved, her soul. And then Elizabeth showed me her neck. It was exposed. Natalie's neck was exposed like this. And I'm like, does that mean? I got the feeling like, when you see behavioral guys that'll talk online or women too, they say when you cover your chin or when you make these different movements that make you appear, there's emotions behind it, and they kind of take apart your behaviors and say what it means, this or that. So I assumed it was like that. She exposed her neck. She gave away too much of her smiles. But it could be also related to the situation that somehow she hit her neck or not chopped or anything, but some damage was there. And so that had something to do with it. She said, too intense for Robert Wagner. She said he was messed up too. This is all Elizabeth talking, okay? He was messed up too. Two broken people filling each other's needs. And when I got in his energy, he was desperate. He feels obsessive. He feels like a jealous guy, like looking at every little thing and taking it, assuming all the worst things. I don't think he was always like that. I just feel in this time period he was. I feel like it built and built and built. Just not just that evening, but just in their life together. So Elizabeth said he did not push her. Robert Wagner did not. Friend pushed her. He felt she would say bad things or secrets. So is that the yacht captain? There's something that he thought she was going to expose about something completely different than, I don't know if it's been talked about. I don't know why the captain would. I don't feel like he would either. Is there a possibility no, there's nobody else, right? I don't think there's anybody else. But somebody felt like she was too, like she was over Wagner at this point, and he felt like this other person felt like she was going to talk about something, some secrets. I don't know. But they were all just wasted. And and then Elizabeth, I definitely see her on the other side in the realms with Richard Burton. Very big soul mate vibe with those two. Very hugely soulmate, like multiple times, many lives together, her and Richard Burton. I know she was married, 8 times and twice to him. And she said that one guy was the love of her life, the guy that died in a plane crash. I don't remember his name. But her and Richard Burton are soulmates, and they were here to work out some karma. And they tried, and a lot of it was very scary, but they're still in spirit together on the other side. So, side note, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof with Paul Newman, who is like the hottest thing since sliced bread in that movie. Anyway, she was with it. She plays his wife. And I don't know if any of this is true, but I feel like Elizabeth says to me, Paul Newman didn't seem like he liked me, but that character in the movie was very distant. So I don't know if I'm confusing that on set. And she said he was difficult. And I don't know why or how or if what the issue was. And I asked her what her lesson was. And she said, I was so fortunate to have a great career. And she said, I was not Cleopatra in a past life. um, And then Dick says something, but I don't know what he says. I can't understand what he's saying. He's saying something. And then I see her. She's not come down again. Elizabeth has not come down again. She is a bird. She's flying over a green pasture and a giant bird, and it feels crowish, raveny, or it could be any bird, hawk or something. But she is free, and I feel the air blowing through me, and just living a life where, without any resistance, just flowing and free. And she's going through that stage in her soul experience to not just release some of the old and heal. It's more about beneficial, like giving yourself a peaceful time, giving yourself some recalibration to understand the human experience, animals, souls and energies, fractions of light. We're just vibrations. That's all we are in this 3D skin sack with bones inside of it. And those fractions of light can inhabit us and our soul, and we're spiritually connected. It's different because we're sentient beings and we can see and feel. Animals are different, but our soul, the fractions of light, can separate and they can go into different things. Take it or leave it, you guys. But that's what I think is true. So she's flying. She is flying. She travels into the heavenly realms, but I see her. It doesn't quite feel like Earth. It's beautiful like Earth, but it feels more like a fantastical version of Earth, or a dreamy version of a field and mountains and a valley. It's beautiful. She needed to be free for a while. Yeah. Um, like the spirit animal, she was. And there's a sense of timelessness there. That's because I have to read my notes. Sense of timelessness. She said, I have no desire to return as a human. So she has lots of processing, like I said, a little karma, but more of the sense of freedom and inhabiting all that she learned. And because I can feel when she was here, the experience was very dense for her. For all of us, it's very dense. Some people can handle it differently. For her, it was very dense. She used it and was able to negotiate life, and did really great. But there's a lot of intensity, and on a soul level, she's understanding what that looked like, or how she's relating it to this freedom she has now, and comparing and contrasting. It's kind of a funny, I know it's kind of a funny word to see. Okay, so back to Natalie. Long time to heal, did not understand why, and she still has this residual anger. And when you're passed on, you don't have an ego anymore. But what you do know is, if you haven't left, or if you can't disconnect between your loved ones, say you're here, you left suddenly, or without your free will, or accident, or whatever, sometimes you have to process it, and it takes what we would think of like, decades, and on their end, time doesn't mean anything. She is still attached, and I think it could be all of people still wondering what happened to Natalie Wood on the boat that night. Is it Robert Wagner? I think he's still married to Jill St. John. I could be wrong. But is it the her needing that to be resolved? There's something that hasn't been resolved on either end or something. And she was really connected to him. And there is some guilt on his end too. And until he passes, or he does some processing or something, because I do think he's holding on to something. There's some definite things that happened that he is not sharing, that he has not told people. And he feels guilt and shame about it. And he's lived to be 95. So apparently he can compartmentalize, or he's got good genes. Because a lot of times that emotional stuff gets to you and makes you sick. But she is not moved on yet. She's not in purgatory. She's just, but this angelic realm that we all go to, the Council of Light. Don't see her there. She is not there. She is wandering, waiting. But she's learning. She's not just standing there. She's learning. She's absorbing. Her soul is taking on information. And actually, she's with maybe some family members, something like that, that she still wants to be around. Could be that too. Did not understand residual. So, I asked her about the boat, and she said, yes, I was trying fabric. I'm trying to do what? I don't know. Fabric got caught or something. Wagner is still holding, oh, this is what I just said, still holding on to her. She's almost like in purgatory, but not quite. That's not her. She's still tied to the world. Actually needs Wagner to pass. This is all the same stuff I just told you, but I'm just reading my words. I do feel like they fought in the cabin. There was a lot of yelling, but this was like something that happened often. Maybe it was heightened that day because we were on the boat and all the drinking. He was freaked out. I'd leave him again. He saw the ending and she was ready to go. So he saw it and he was freaked out. And then I see her out on the deck bouncing against that wall. So maybe she teetered off, but I don't know how high. I feel like those sidewalls on those yachts can't be low like that. I feel like they're a good 45 inches or something. So people can't just like loop over. Somebody said she was trying to unloosen the dinghy or something. But yeah, even if she was drinking and she had such a fear of water, did the drinking override that fear and that need to, well, somebody said that it was banging against the boat and she was tying it up. That's not right. Unless she was leaning, got the fabric caught and it pulled her, swung her over, something like that. I don't know. But it's all of those things are true. They fought. There was some secrets, things that haven't been told yet. I think they're going to go to somebody's grave with him, several people. Um, and I said the yacht captain was part of this somehow. He had some part to play. And Wagner, he has a lot of guilt, a lot of guilt. Yeah. I think that was all I could get with her. She was difficult and she's not, and have talked to people who are split souls and they've fractured and they've gone into different places, but I feel bad for her. I feel bad, but there's something about this anger. It's keeping her stuck here too. This anger she left this world with. And maybe it's a karmic pattern with him. Maybe she's angry with him for many past lives. And this is just one more and it added to the layers. I don't feel like she's not suffering at all, but it's just, I don't know why. I just feel the anger. It could be maybe the anger is that night. And she's so furious. But even now, when I try to talk to her on a soul level, I don't feel like she's prickly, you know? I don't know. Well, we wish her well, Natalie. Move into the light when you're ready. Yeah, I feel like there's like a little tie, like a rope holding her here. When she's ready, she'll go. And all will be settled on the other side. All right. Well, now this is just a quickie because James Dean was so easy and fast and he didn't have a lot to say. And I expected, a long time ago, I saw this, I don't know if it's a psychologist or somebody talking about him. And I guess when he was in movies or different scenes, he, on a collar, the pointed collar on men's shirts, he would suck on the pointed collar part. And somebody had said that's like a suckling thing, a need for mother or a sensitivity about mother and being, maybe he was weaned too early or whatever. So I always remember that. So I think his sense, vulnerability came from that. And I think, he was, he was able to express it. Somehow we got that in his movies. And so he said, I'm happy and free. He's really, I don't feel any resistance. I feel like he's just happy and free. He said, short life. He said, I loved well. I loved where I wanted to love. And um, he said, onward to life. Oh, the next life. He's already moved on, even though he died young. And like I said, but I think, what did he die in the 60s, maybe? Or late 50s. Anyway, he processed quickly, and because he had died of an accident, you'd think it would take him a while, but it's been so long. He has processed, I guess. But it was almost like he knew this life that he went here. It was like a contract, a soul contract, that he knew his life would be short. So he had already planned. So it was easy for him to transition and to move on to the next life. That's the feeling I got. It wasn't like Natalie, where it's like, that wasn't supposed to happen. I didn't plan that. And it was forced on me. James Dean was like, yep, that was my deal. I came here. It was a short life. I knew it was going to be short. That was part of my contract. And I saw him as a man in Africa, somebody in an isolated place. He may not be black. He may be of other nationalities or ethnicity, but he's in Africa somewhere in isolation, an isolated place. Um, and he said love to Natalie and Elizabeth. He wanted me to tell him love to them. And he said he couldn't wait to leave home and be happy. I don't know what that means. Leave home. I think something happened in his childhood. He couldn't wait to leave that house, whatever. I have no idea. There's something about his happiness was a goal in life. And he felt like he found some of it. He really and truly did. And whatever he was looking for, this short life, he got it. He committed, or he filled out his contract. I saw bright lights like a shooting star, the song, it's not Bad Company. Oh, I'll think about it. He's just a flash, you know. I said your soul lessons, free will. I had a short life with intensity, and he was close to his sister or another female in his family. He misses that. He said he feels like that's the only thing that he feels like it was um, something he, I don't think regretted, but that's the one thing that came with this short life that he kind of missed. But yeah, so I found that interesting. He was super easy and fluid, and he just came and went. Have you guys ever met anyone who you've only had in your life for a short minute? It could be somebody you work with, or a friend, or somebody you meet at a party, or whoever, and something they either say or you um, talk to them about, or maybe there's an interaction of some kind, and it literally changes the trajectory of your life, and they were just passing through your life quickly just to help you there. I have people in my life that I can pinpoint that I know were there as a divine guidance, just to say, hey, you know what, I did this and this. And I go, oh yeah, good idea, and I'm going to go over there. And they were pivotal in my life. It's so interesting how that happens. And that's the feeling I got with him, is that we're lucky to have him, and he was gone. I'm not a James Dean fanatic of any way. I just knew he had that kind of intensity about him, and um, deep, rebel without a cause, struggling within kind of stuff. Um, he was there for them. We all have our time. It's just our season for everything. Every time has its season. Anyway, so there's my mysteries for tonight. Hope you guys like that. I'm going to get to Erica and JD Vance and the shitty shutdown, which, anyway, take care, you guys. I love that you keep coming back, and love your comments and suggestions. Till next time.